Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Welcome everyone, Hare Krishna. Under the section of the discussion of the 7th canto Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we are specifically discussing the Navavida Bhakti, the 9 limbs of Bhakti. And the context is Prahlad Maharaj speaks about them, in fact, briefly names them while speaking to Lord Nrsingadev. So, since they are very, very important, the 9 limbs of Bhakti are supremely important, and there are quite a lot of questions and misconceptions and lack of clarity on this idea. So, therefore, we are spending considerable amount of time, weeks, months, put together one after another, discussing Shravanam and Kirtanam and Vishnu Smaranam and so on and so forth. So till now we have finished our discussion on Shravanam. Of course, the process of hearing can be glorified forever, but in the interest of time, because we have other limbs also to discuss, to quickly conclude on what we have been discussing for over 4 sessions on the importance of hearing the names, forms, qualities and pastimes of Krishna, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, the best thing to do is to hear the names of the Lord, the forms of the Lord, the qualities and pastimes of the Lord. Which means if there is opportunity to hear Nam Mahima, the glories of the name of Krishna, if there is opportunity to hear the name in the form of Kirtan, or if there's opportunity to hear about the glories of Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, this is the best. But then Srila Jiva Goswami Pad writes that even higher than this is to get an opportunity to hear compositions glorifying Krishna put forth in this world by pure devotees. This is even higher. So for example, in the present generation we have ample amount of kirtans written by different personalities, different bhajans written by different personalities. Of course, this may be wonderful, but Srila Jiva Goswami in the Sandarbhas he mentions that it is best if you hear the kirtans and the bhajans composed by pure devotees. One has to have that criteria. Otherwise, today I will compose something, you will compose something, and we all sit and hear that bhajan. It's possible that it may have some mixed ideas. It may have the selfishness of my heart. Whoever is composing their anarthas, their samskars, their hidden ulterior desires. Somebody may be writing a bhajan for popularity. Somebody may be writing a bhajan for cutting an album, right? Or somebody may write a bhajan for a certain drama or a certain movie in the context of a certain play, and that may not be the best thing to hear with our human ears. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, if it is composed by a pure devotee and sung by a pure devotee, that is even higher. So first level is to hear the names of Krishna or the kirtan of Krishna. Even higher, the compositions of pure devotees, like let's say Mukunda Mala Stotra of King Kulashekara. This has been composed by a pure devotee. So this is even higher because when you hear the names of the Lord, it brings in purification of the heart. But when you hear compositions of a pure devotee, it's dipped with a lot of feelings of that devotee's heart for Krishna. So when you hear the songs of pure Vaishnavas, their emotions, their prayers are filled in those kirtans. And when we hear them and sing them, that devotional bhav comes in our heart. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad gives 1, then 2, and now the 3rd layer, he says, when it is composed by a pure devotee and sung by a pure devotee. That is even higher. And fourth, he says, is it is best to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Why? Because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam has the glories of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes. It has been composed by a pure devotee, Vyasadeva. It has been sung by a pure devotee, Shukadev. And it has come down sampradaya of pure devotees singing with their own commentaries. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, Srila Prabhupada's purport and commentaries of the Bhagavatam, which has been given by Vyasadeva, sung originally by Shukadev Goswami and sung by so many pure devotees for so many generations. And all of this filled with the names, the form, the qualities, the pastimes, and the devotional prayers of so many Vaishnavas. Srila Jiva Goswami establishes that hearing and chanting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the best. So we have so many books in the present generation. We have so many things to hear, so many self-composed bhajans, so many self-composed compositions, so many avenues to hear and read. According to Srila Jiva Goswami's prescription, we should narrow it down to first hearing and chanting and relishing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If we have an opportunity to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the lips of our Guru, who is a pure devotee, there is no comparison to this fortune. No comparison to this fortune. So if we have a very advanced Vaishnava who is studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from his Guru Maharaj and very lovingly sharing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with everyone, this opportunity is very rare. Very rare. So we should not try to read little bit of this and little bit of that and little bit of this. Instead, we should make it a point that next 5 years in my life, I will study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This should be our mission. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is our life and soul, because there's no limit to how many books we can read and how many sources we can read. But it's possible that in that attempt, we may not be able to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam completely. My Guru Maharaj once told me that there are those who are speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam who haven't studied Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam properly. He said it is very important to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And then there are those who have studied Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam properly, but they are not speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for the benefit. So there are those who are speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam who haven't studied properly. And then there are those who have studied properly but aren't speaking and singing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And then he told me, then there is a third category who have studied Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and are speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam but are not doing it selflessly for the benefit of others. One must study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, sing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for our own benefit. But when one becomes a very great soul, the heart is brimming with compassion that what will happen to this material world? Prahlad Maharaj told Nrsingadev, my dear Lord, your golden mane, this hair on your face, and your sharp teeth, and your sharp nails, and your red eyes, and your tongue, sword-like tongue, which is licking your face of the blood of Hiranyakashipu. All of this with your weapons is not frightening me, Prahlad Maharaj told Nrsingadev. But what is frightening me is this whole world is going to hell. My dear Lord, Naham Bibhemi, I do not fear. I do not fear your Shankukarna, your ears, which are sharp. I do not fear your sharp nails and your sharp shooting eyes and your sharp tongue and your sharp teeth. I do not fear any of this. But what I am really afraid of, my dear Lord, Naivo Dvije Paraduratkaya Vaitaranyas Twadvirya Gayana Mahamrita Magnachitta Shoche Tatho Vimukhachetas Indriyartha. My dear Lord, I am not afraid of whether or not I will go back to Godhead. I know on the boat of hearing and chanting I will reach your abode. But my heart is afraid, scared, concerned, worried for those who are drowning in this world. How will they attain you, my dear Lord? वो भगवत प्राप्ति कैसे करेंगे? How will they cross the cycle of birth and death? This is what is fearing my heart and making my heart feel anxious. So therefore, it is Prahlad Maharaj's compassion that you can see there in the form of his fear. Srila Prabhupada also would repeatedly speak on these sections of Prahlad Maharaj's prayers and instructions because Srila Prabhupada resonated with this compassionate mood of Prahlad Maharaj. So to conclude the process of hearing what we are mentioning and what I was mentioning about my Guru Maharaj, we can remember that through 1, 2, 3. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 3. 1, 2, 3. Pehla Skand, first canto. Dusra Adhyay, second chapter. Tisra Shlok, third Shlok. 1.2.3, where it is described that yes, Swatmaniyam, glorifying Shukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami in the Mangalacharan, he says, Akhila Shruti Saramekam, oh dear Shukadev Goswami, you are so kind. You are not just speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for the benefit, Karuna Purana Guhyam, you are speaking this Karunaya out of compassion for the fallen conditioned soul. My dear Shukadev Goswami, you are the best among sages, the son of Vyasa. Tam Vyasa Sunum Upayami Gurum Muninam. I bow down to you because you are speaking out of Karunaya, out of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. How beautiful. This Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the Adhyatma Deepa Matiti Titrisham Tamondham. It is the lamp of knowledge. It is the lamp of realization, which when kept in the heart, dispels all darkness. So this verse says Shukadev Goswami has realized and is speaking out of his realization for compassion or out of compassion, for spreading mercy to this world. How wonderful. Yasvanubhavam akhila shruti saramekam adhyatma deepa matiti trisham tamondham samsarinam karunayaha purana guhyam tam vyasa sunu upayami guru munina. This is the verse. So beautiful. So therefore 1, 2, 3. We should remember that we should study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on the highest priority. If there is nobody around us, then we should study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If there is an advanced devotee, then we should hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And if there is someone who comes to us who doesn't know about Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, then we should speak Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam should be there in all forms, all walks of life. If we are by ourselves, study. If we are in the association of someone who wants to know, then speak what you're studying. And if we are in the association of someone who has studied out of experience, then we should hear from them. In this way, chanting also has its same domain. If there is nobody around, we chant japa and we do kirtan by ourselves. If there are those who come in our association, in our assembly, who want to hear about Krishna Kirtan, then we sing with them. We sing and they respond. And if we are in the assembly of someone who is advanced, then they lead and we sing after them. So in this way, chanting, japa, kirtan and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is our life and soul. This is how we should tailor our life. So that concludes the discussion on Shravanam or hearing about Krishna. The statement should be study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, speak Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, distribute Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, share Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, offer prayers to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And beware on what you sing and what you read and how we utilize our time. We don't want to go half of this book and half of that book and half of this book. Instead, make it a point for the next 5 years. I will study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam very nicely, canto by canto, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, Srila Prabhupada's purports. Sometimes devotees do send emails, how do I study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with the commentaries of our acharyas? And my response is very simple. that we don't have to overwhelm ourselves with the commentaries at the moment. Study Srila Prabhupada's purports first, nicely. Take a certain section and study it nicely. That's another way also you can do it. Instead of going first verse of the first chapter of the first canto to the 12th or the 23rd chapter of the 12th canto, that sequential study, you can definitely do that. Another way to study is take a section and study. Let's say if you tell yourself that I will want to study the pastime of Dhruva. So then go to the 4th canto and go to those chapters, about 2-3 chapters, and you can study them exclusively. So that's sectional study. You are taking one section at a time. Okay, then another thing that you want to study is, let's say, Gajendra. So then you can take the 8th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and chapter 1, 2, 3, 4 this is the story of Gajendra, the prayers of Gajendra, and in this way you can study that section. If somebody wants to study, Ram Navami is coming up, right? In a month or so, Ram Navami is coming up. So you want to study the section of pastimes of Ramachandra. Then go to the 9th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and then you can study chapter 9, 10, 11, or 10 or 11. In this way, you can, in your notebook, you don't need anything else. And I'm nobody to advise, but my 2-cent request would be, better not to study with devices. You can keep your phone aside, you can keep your laptop aside, you can keep your iPad aside. Just keep your hard copy Bhagavatam with you and a notebook with you. And you can have multicolored pens with you, or you can have a pencil with you. A pencil, simple. You don't need much. Just keep a pencil next to you, keep a notebook next to you. You can keep a simple notebook next to you and keep your Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and you can have a multicolored pen. It doesn't have to be pink, it just happens to be pink here. So you can have different colors here, right, depending on how you want to highlight. Similarly, you can have a little notebook. You can have a little shloka notebook where you want to take down important shlokas. Look, they're all right here on the table. So you can have pencil, you can have your, let me see if we have a few more things here. You have other pens also of different colors in case there are some highlighter pens. So you can keep all of them handy. You can also have highlighters here. These highlighters come out, right? And you can highlight sections from your notebook. So long story short, we're not going to open up the whole bookshelf, but the long story short is keep things that will help your study. Keep a notebook, keep your Bhagavatam, and as you're studying, read a verse, read a translation, read the purport, and write down. You don't have to write everything, but write down important statements, things that you feel are useful to incorporate in our life. So little by little we can study like that. There are devotees that I recently met in my traveling who do Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-Gita chapter a day, and there are devotees I know who do Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam chapter a day. They call it CHAD, C-H-A-D, CHAD, chapter a day, which our His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu came up with this concept of CHAD, chapter a day, where you study a whole chapter in one day. So there are devotees I know who in their reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they do chapter a day. So there are 335 chapters in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and there are 365 days in a year. So keeping 30 days of Kartika aside, you get chapter a day. 335 days in the year, 335 chapters in the Bhagavatam. What that means is, read the Sanskrit, read the translation. Move to the next Sanskrit, next translation. Next Sanskrit, next translation. You can skip the purport in that reading. For that reading, you can skip the purport. If the chapter a day is the idea that you're studying. Because if you go with the purport, it may take a long time. So there are some chapters which may have many verses. So if we are not able to study the whole chapter in one day, you can even split it in 2 days. So we may not be able to finish in 1 year. That's fine. It could be 1.5 years. It could be 2 years. But it's important to put it in a disciplined fashion, planning. Okay, I want to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in 1 year. So do 1 chapter a day. You can skip the purport in that reading, do verse and translation. If verses are also little overwhelming to read the Sanskrit, no problem. Just read the translations. So what happens is, in that reading of the Bhagavatam, we get to know the overall picture of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. What is happening in which canto, in which chapter, which pastime. And in that reading, keep a pencil with you. Simple. You don't need anything else. That also reminds us that when you read on a hard copy of Shastra, do not make markings with your pen because you can't erase them. But if you have a pencil with a little eraser at the back, you can write little footnotes, or you can make a little marking, which His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj said they are like gopi dots on the deity. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is like the vigraha, and just like the pujari makes a little gopi dots on the vigraha, on the murti, similarly with your pencil, you can make some markings on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which later you can erase as well, at will. So when you're just doing the translations, read the translation, and if you feel it is nice, it's beautiful, either from a preaching perspective or from a practical perspective. An example of preaching perspective would be, one name of Krishna that is chanted frees the jiva from the cycle of birth and death. Let's say if you have a verse like that, then you can put an asterisk there, because if someone asks at any point, how do we become free from sins that we have committed? There's the verse right there from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So it's a preaching verse. Then you can have practical verses. For example, Sudama had the following characteristics, and therefore he was a dear friend to Krishna. So what does that teach us? If I have these characteristics, I can also become dear to Krishna. So that's a practical call for action, something that we can apply in our life. Then there will be verses which are quite descriptive, like Barha Pidam Natavaravapu Karanayo Karanikaram, the form of Krishna. So you can put an asterisk there, and those are the descriptive verses. If you memorize those shlokas, they remind us of Krishna. Then there are verses which are prayerful. Prayerful verses. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Klesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So these are prayerful verses. So when you read the translation, you can categorize them. Or in a notebook like this, you can just write prayerful verses, descriptive verses, practical verses, preaching verses. And as you're studying chapter a day, start categorizing them in your tables. Then next time when you come back to your reading, you know you don't have to miss those verses. Now you can start focusing on the Sanskrit, and you can memorize those shlokas because they will be applicable for us in our life. There will also be verses which teach us, because this person became angry, he lost his spiritual potency, for example. So that will come under again the section of practicality, because next time we can keep these verses with us. If I get envious, this verse. If I get lusty, this verse. If I get angry, this verse. And you can take a printout of that and we can keep it on the wall. You don't need anything, just print out, or you can laminate it or print out and just stick it to your wall. So next time we go through these emotions, lamentation, these verses. Hankering, these verses. Criticizing, these verses. Then we get envious of someone, jealous of someone, lusty, greedy, angry. Then we just look at these verses and we feel, okay, at this point, this is what I should be doing. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta shipta hata api nasitat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. Bhagavatam says, even when a devotee is criticized, even when a devotee is cheated, even when a devotee gets cursed, even when a devotee gets ignored, or even when he is attacked, he doesn't think wrong about the wrongdoer. Not that we have to tolerate, we can walk away, but the person doesn't retaliate and hold envy or hatred in his heart. Now verses like this we can have. So next time we go through these emotions, we just look at our wall. This is the wall of fame. At the moment, we are at the wall of shame. All the different activities we are doing are shameful. The responses we are giving are shameful. So we can go from the wall of shame to the hall of fame. By the verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And why we are saying all this? Because this ultimately comes under the section of Shravanam. We hear from devotees when they are present. We speak to devotees when they want to hear. But between the two, we study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Pathanam. We study nicely. And instead of being bifurcated and divided and confused, we take it as a project that I will study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And another thing, if possible, you can get yourself smaller copies of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is a small edition of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Generally, we have the bigger edition of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That's wonderful too. But this is my personal prescription, by my personal taste, because I find it very easy to carry. You can just put it in a little bag and carry. Let's say if you have a long flight, you're flying somewhere, you have a long train journey. Of course, a bus journey, when it's crowded and when it's moving, maybe it's not the best place to read because we may feel a little nauseated. But in train journeys, let's say if you get into a train and you have to travel 1 hour back and forth, or you're going from one city to another, one state to another, overnight train journey, wonderful. Take a copy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam like this and tell yourself, by the time I reach Kanpur or Bhopal or wherever you're going, or you're taking a flight journey and I'm going to India. Let's say you're flying from one country to another. Wonderful. Take one copy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam like this and tell yourself, I want to study about 5 or 6 chapters. If you see typically in flights, people are sleeping, apart from children crying, and someone next to you eating chivda and khakra. Typically you have people who are either sleeping or watching movies. They have the screen in front of them, which is in the back of their seat, and they're watching movies, or there's someone who's playing chess or some game on the screen. They have their noise cancellers or their headphones and they're hearing, or those who are sleeping, right? Typically this is what happens. But the good thing is you have lights for yourself. Even if it's a flight, you have lights for yourself. And even if the whole flight is dark, you can put on the light and we can study. No problem. Who's stopping us? Why should, of course, if you're tired, we can take rest. But why should we watch a movie when we have better movies here? Purifying movies here. Attractive movies here. Such nice movies based out of Bhagavatam that Mahavatar Narasimha was screened worldwide based on this book, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So we can study nicely. Initially, it may be difficult. Initially, we may need some push, some determination. But that's okay. We have to, every good habit is developed with some willpower. So tell yourself, I will read for 25 minutes. This is called as the Pomodoro technique. You read for 25 minutes. Don't keep it to 15. Don't make it 30. Read for 25 minutes. Tell yourself, I'm only going to read for 25 minutes. And in those 25 minutes, don't look at your phone. Don't talk to anybody. If there's someone traveling with you, just tell them, I will just read for some time and then we can talk. Just 25 minutes. And those 25 minutes, of course, you see whether it's a train, you'll have a seat for yourself, or whether it's the plane, you can have your front table coming up for which people open up for their lunch boxes. There you can study, you can keep your notebook, you can keep a copy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and with a pencil, you can just keep writing for 25 minutes. And after that you feel bored, keep your book aside, no problem. Then again, next time you start studying, do it for 25 minutes. So what happens is your willpower starts increasing little by little. Same with chanting japa. If you think 16 rounds of chanting japa is too much, tell yourself, I will chant 4 rounds. 4 rounds, that's it. Srila Prabhupada would say, in my Grihastha days, I used to chant 4 rounds in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, 4 in the evening, and 4 at night. Simple. So you can break bigger tasks into smaller chunks and you can get them accomplished. Studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is great virtue. Great virtue. All great Vaishnavas were attracted to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So in this way, we should put studying of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on the top priority list of our life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Gadadhar Pandit, they studied Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam at Tota Gopinath in Jagannath Puri for 3 hours every afternoon. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, Gadadhar Pandit, Radharani herself in Gaura Leela, they were studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they all wrote beautiful commentaries as Laghu Bhagavatamrita and Brihad Bhagavatamrita respectively. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote commentaries on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Srila Jiva Goswami wrote 13 commentaries on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. 13. 1-3. How attached was he to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? He wrote 6 Sandarbhas based out of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He wrote Krama Sandarbha, systematic commentary on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Then he wrote Gopal Champu on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, on the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Then he wrote a commentary called as Laghu Vaishnav Toshini, following Brihad Vaishnav Toshini of Srila Sanatan Goswami. So many different commentaries Srila Jiva Goswami wrote on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He was relishing it from different angles of vision. Then apart from this, he wrote 4-part Sarva Samvadini Tika based on the first 4 sections of the 6 Sandarbhas. So he was relishing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam again and again and again. This was Srila Jiva Goswami. So all of our acharyas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a Bhagavata Arka Marichi Mala, a thematic systematic study on the categorization of verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Our Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a darshan of Swarup Damodar Goswami, who is an incarnation of Lalita Sakhi in Gaura Leela. And Lalita Sakhi came and told Swarup Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that I want you to write a Subodhini. What our Gauranga Darshan Prabhu has given in the present generation, thematic study, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was instructed to do a study like that by Swarup Damodar Goswami. And he wrote Bhagavata Arka Marichi Mala, which means Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is like the full-blown sun and each chapter is a sun rays. And this whole book is a garland of all those sun rays coming from the sun of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Bhagavata Arka Marichi Mala. This was the book. And what is that book about? Nam Tattva, chapter 1. Jiva Tattva, chapter 2. I'm just giving examples. Ishvara Tattva, chapter 3. Maya Tattva, chapter 4. So wherever in Bhagavatam, 12 cantos, 335 chapters, Nam has been glorified. All those verses have been put together by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one chapter. Without internet, without any smartphone, just by his brilliant analytical presentation of Bhagavatam and study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he could present all of that. Even Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, he wrote a whole Anvay on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Anvay means verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam put out in prose. So we know the verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are poetry. But when you iron them out, instead of poetry, when you rearrange the words as grammatical sentences in the Bhagavatam, then they are put out as prose, as sentences. So in Sanskrit you can say dasosmyaham, you can say dasoham, you can say aham dasaha asmi. So you can say it in different ways. So the poetry to the rearrangement of verses to bring them out from poetry to prose is what Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur did. And he named it after his Guru Maharaj as Gaur Kishoranvay. And our Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he spent so many years at Radha Damodar, and even during his travel in the Western world, he would wake up in the middle of the night, following Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's model, and he would write commentaries to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Puran, which is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, his Bhaktivedanta purports. Studying through, in fact, Srila Prabhupada used to carry the original Sanskrit manuscript of all the tikas of Acharyas. He would always carry it in his travels. Our Pradyumna Prabhu mentions that Srila Prabhupada would have prominent 10 commentaries to the Bhagavatam, and he would read through all of them and also add his perspectives and give it for the present contemporary generation that we are living in. That's how you see so many verses that Srila Prabhupada quotes in his purport coming from different acharyas. So we should take the study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Yat Vaishnavanam Priyam, on the highest priority list of our life. Promise yourself that I will study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam systematically. Put a year-long plan, first reading. Year-long plan means 335 days, 335 chapters. I'm going to read just the translations, chapter a day. Tell yourself. It's not difficult. It will take 15 minutes, 25 minutes to the maximum. One chapter a day. And in your second reading, you can go through the purports also. You can go through the verse, you can go through the purports also, which may take a little longer, and you can maybe keep 2 to 3 years for that. So 1 plus another 2 to 3 years, you have about 4 years in total now. Then you have cross-sectional study, where you're studying Dhruva, and along with studying of Dhruva's pastimes, you study Prahlad Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. So you are comparing and contrasting. 2 boys at the age of 5 who are god brothers because they have the same Guru Narada Muni. 1 in the 4th canto, 1 in the 7th canto. And in this way you compare and contrast. Then in that same study you can analyze. Ajamil went to the forest and he got distracted. Ajamil went to the forest and he got distracted. Once he saw some sight and he got distracted. But you see, Haridas Thakur, he didn't go. The prostitute came to him. And not once, 3 nights consecutively. In Ajamil's case, he went, saw once, lost his Brahminical practice for 80 long years in his life. But for Namacharya Haridas Thakur, he stayed where he was, so the attack was even more lethal. He didn't go. The prostitute came to him. And not once, but thrice. 3 consecutive nights. But you see the effect that Namacharya Haridas Thakur faced was much more intense, but the response he gave and the overall effect in the whole pastime is totally different. Ajamil's result and Haridas Thakur's effect. And then now you start writing. What were the differences? Ajamil may have come from a Brahminical background, but he didn't chant Hare Krishna as much as Namacharya Haridas Thakur, who came from a lower background, birth-wise. But he became a pure devotee by chanting the holy name. So that brings us to the conclusion that how important it is for us, of course, to keep away from bad association and to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then at another cross-sectional example, you're studying the aspect of Gajendra being caught by a crocodile. You can study and compare and contrast with Draupadi Devi caught by Dushasan. So one crocodile is catching here, another crocodile is catching there. And seeing what responses both of them give. Teaching us, if we are caught by the crocodile of problems in our life, what kind of response should I give? Then we see an example in the 5th canto of Bharat Maharaj, where he got attracted by one deer. One deer, a baby deer actually. Bharat Maharaj, he saw, and those of us who have read that pastime, you will know what we're talking about. Those who haven't read, don't worry, chapter a day, you're getting there very soon. You're getting there very soon. So in the 5th canto, we see an example of Bharat Maharaj, who was meditating deep into the forest, but he finds a baby deer helpless, whose mother just passes away in the forest, and a baby deer shelterless. So he gives up his meditation to take care of that little deer. That little deer becomes big and he continues to play with that deer. And in no time, it is time for Bharat Maharaj to leave his body, and he becomes a deer in his next life because of attachment to a deer. So now here, while writing, you can contrast this with Arjuna's compassion in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna was attracted to his family members, and therefore he was ready to give up the battle that Krishna wanted him to fight. And Bharat Maharaj is attracted to a baby deer, and he's ready to give up his own practice of meditation and chanting. Just like Arjuna is ready to give up the battle for Krishna, Bharat Maharaj is ready to give up. Arjuna is ready to give up for his own family. Bharat Maharaj is ready to give up for a little deer whom he considers his own family. And you can see the effect. You can see the similarities, you can see the differences. So this is not possible in the first or the second reading. Because for this you have to know which section of Bhagavatam has which pastime. So for that, 1 or 2 readings are needed. So this cross-sectional study, you can keep another 1 year for this. And during these 5 years, you can keep shloka notebooks, like we previously mentioned, a book like this, where important verses from the first canto, important verses from the second canto, important verses from the third canto, and in the 4 categories that we mentioned. Things which are prayerful, things which are preaching oriented, things which are practical, things which are descriptive. The form of Krishna or the description of the forest of Vrindavan or description of the Vaikuntha planet. Where if you are traveling somewhere, you can remember those descriptions and spontaneously become Krishna conscious. Just by saying Naumi Dyate Bravapushe Tadidambaraya Gunjavatamsa Paripichhala Sanmukhaya Vanyasraje Kavalavetra Vishana Venu Lakshma Shriye Mrudupade Pashupangajaya. Just by chanting these verses, of course knowing the meaning, the mind gets pulled spontaneously to the divine realm. So while doing our study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first level, second level, third level, right? You keep reading these verses and the purports. So it takes about good 5 to 6 years to study the whole Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And during this section, also hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Vaishnavas who are teaching Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam systematically. So what happens is, we get good purports, good inferences, good examples. As they are explaining, they may give some connections. They may give some references. They may give some answers to some of the questions that we may have. So hearing that, studying, so the whole process takes about 5, 6, sometimes even 7 years. It's like getting into a doctoral program, a PhD program. But trust me, every single day during this program, we are only doing ourselves a world of good. If we die in any of those years, touch wood, God forbid, may that not happen. But if that happens, we don't know how precarious, how unexpected life is. But we are in safe hands because we always have a Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in our bag. If you're a Mataji, if you have a handbag, you can put this copy in your handbag. Just like many Matajis, they carry handbag and they may have little cosmetics also inside. We have seen sometimes we are driving and then the car next or this side, it may be at a traffic light, and the Matajis, they're going to work and they're putting on makeup while being in a traffic light. So we want to put cosmetic makeup for the soul while we are on the traffic light. What that means is not literally while you're driving, don't open up the book, because the cop may catch you for being drunk in ecstasy. Don't be drunk while driving, which means in bhakti, of course, spiritual intoxication. But the point is, whenever you have time, and keep a copy like this in front of your table. Keep it in front of you. What is in front of us gets done. If you keep the same copy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, let's say in your shelf, we may never open the shelf, and that's more struggle. Open the shelf. Remember, open the shelf, put your hand, take the Bhagavatam, keep it out, read, again put it back. Instead, just keep the canto that you're studying on the table. One devotee was telling me a long time ago, somehow his intake of water had reduced. And he told me he had developed some health issues also because of not drinking sufficient water for a long time. And he was heavily into speaking services, and he would feel parched because of not drinking water for long hours. Then he started keeping bottles in front of him. He would keep flasks, warm water in front of him, which would remind him that if it's in front of me, naturally the mind says, okay, open and drink. And the intake increased because what's in front of you gets consumed. And on the counter side, don't keep sweets in front of you. If you keep chips in front of you, if you keep sweets in front of you, it's quite amazing. If they're not in front of you, we don't feel the urge. But if they're there in front, automatically the hand goes in there to eat some snacks or eat some sweets, etc., chocolates or whatever. So on the positive side, if you keep your bead bag in front of you on the table, or you keep your Bhagavatam in front of you, naturally it inspires. And keep a specific place where you study every day. So automatically when you sit on that chair, you sit next to the table, the mind is already driven to a certain thing. Just like you go to the bathroom, you know where your brush is, you know where the paste is. The mind doesn't have to search for brush every morning. And it's not a new place. So naturally the mind is driven and wired. Wake up, go, brush. It just goes as a habit. Similarly, club it. Bathe, come, sit. And read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for 20 minutes. Do your chapter a day for the Bhagavatam, and then have breakfast. Something like that. Keep yourself in that, and you can have a little accountability chart where you tick. Did I do it? And keep it very simple. Did I read one chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam before breakfast? Yes, I did it. Next day, did I do it? Yes, I did it. Next day, I didn't do it. A cross. Then I did it. A tick. So when you see the chart for the whole week or the month, you can see how many days we have been consistent. And don't put 10 things on that chart. Then the mind goes haywire. Just put one thing. Studying one chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, just the translations before breakfast. Define it clearly. As soon as I bathe and I'm ready, 25 minutes, I sit here and I read from this book before breakfast. So define it well as a task and challenge yourself for 335 days. And it's very simple. It's fast moving because we're doing only translations. You see, I'm doing one chapter a day. In 19 days, one canto done. Hari Bol. Another 10 days, second canto done. So in 1 month, 2 cantos of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam out of 12 are done. Then in the second month, you see the third canto is almost done. So in this way, one chapter a day, challenge yourself, and in the first reading, second reading, third reading, with the verses, with the same prescription that we offered, we can study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This concludes the topic of hearing and reading, and next class onwards on Thursday, we will start the brilliant discussion on Kirtanam, on chanting japa, on calling out on the names of Krishna, chanting the holy name all day, all night, while being alive, while being on the deathbed, and another birth, and happily chanting and singing Krishna's names. We'll talk about the discussion on Kirtanam starting Thursday. But now I would like to open the floor for questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
So my question is that since I am a college student, so how should I plan a day like you have said for the studying of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita? So how should I plan this along with my course studies?
I would say keep your sleep time fixed. That's the first thing I would say, because this is the most important thing for a sadhaka. The most. Um, Many times we think chanting is most important. We think reading is most important. Sometimes we may even think waking up early is most important. But actually, the most important thing is going to sleep early. Because if you keep that time fixed, 9:30, 10 o'clock to the max, we close. Then what happens is we can utilize the morning hours effectively. And in the morning hours, let's say if we need about 7 hours of sleep, you sleep at 10 o'clock, you wake up at 5 o'clock. Now we bathe, we get ready, and then about 15 minutes we can study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. First thing, as soon as we wake up, we bathe, we sit fresh. For about 15 minutes you can study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Maybe another half an hour you can chant Krishna's holy names, and then get ready, and if you have to go to school or go to work, etc. And then once we are back from school, we can plan to do our homework or our study, also have some extracurricular activity, have maybe 30 minutes, I would say 20 to 30 minutes of exercise. It could be pranayam, it could be walking, it could be asanas, or if somebody wants to go to the gym and be on the treadmill or do some weights, that's fine. But keep your day packed in such a way that we don't have time for sitting on the couch with our smartphone. We don't have time. Of course, we can have time with our friends, but whom to associate with, how much to associate with, that's very important. So keep your time for family, for your sadhana, for your health, and for your academic or your corporate professional life. So in this way, you can divide and see where you're wasting time and how you can tighten the screws. You see, when a chair gets uncomfortable to sit, you know one of the legs of the chair, maybe the screw is not very tight. So our schedule is also moving like this, because one of the chair legs of our schedule is not very tight. So we have to tighten the screws so that we can sit effectively. So the first step would be to sleep early today, so that tomorrow the schedule is quite effective. Okay, Mataji? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
We'll take...
Prabhuji. I have one more question. That is that larger version of Bhagavatam that we have and the smaller one that you have shown, what is the difference?
Oh, there's no difference. This is perhaps about 44 books, because they're smaller books. And the bigger version that we have is about 18 books, because basically that has one canto a book, or some cantos have more volumes, but typically you can finish a canto in one book. But this, if you see, this is canto 6, part 3. So each canto is split into few chapters, so it's easier. You see, sometimes you have in our college library also, we may have a thick reference book, and just by looking at the big size, we may get scared. I cannot read this whole book. But if you take 2 chapters at a time and print it out in a spiral bound, so if the whole reference book has, let's say, 20 chapters, and you make 10 books of 2 chapters each, spiral bound, and you read them 2 chapters, then you can finish the whole book very easily. So that's the same idea here. Bigger copy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is split into smaller copies, chapter by chapter. Not 1 chapter a book, but a few chapters per book. So it's easier, and it's compact, smaller size. It's not very heavy, easy to carry. And very quickly you feel 1 page is over. So you get a lot of self-confidence. You just read 1 or 2 verses and 1 page is over. So in this way we can worship Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Okay? Yes, Rohan
Thank you,
Prabhu.
sir.
Thank you, Mataji. Rohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. So one time I was hearing your lecture. So because today you said that we can ask about what the discussion has happened today. So Prabhu, you are saying that many times we read so much, when we hear so much, but when time comes, it doesn't work. When we see the head speaks, not the heart. So, Prabhu, as we daily read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, so how can we live by the principles what we are reading, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, for that we have to contemplate. When we are reading, we have to sincerely think whatever. So let's say if you're reading 25 minutes a day, all day long, we should think, what did I learn today? It's not that I should simply finish reading a certain section. Okay, I get a tick mark on my sadhana chart or my accountability chart. That's not the purpose. Okay, that is inspiring. Okay, I read for 7 days. Wonderful. I read for a whole month. Wonderful. That's good. But even during the day, we should think, how can I apply what I read today? What was the lesson and for that we have to be attentive. What did I learn today? What was the lesson that I understood today? And keep thinking about it. Keep thinking and praying to Krishna, my dear Lord, when a circumstance like this comes, may this be my response. And one more thing I would like to add, you can effectively use what you're reading today in your chanting today. For example, if you're reading before you're chanting, as soon as you wake up first, let's say you read. So when you chant your rounds, today's chanting, pray that what I read today, my dear Lord, may I get that realization in my heart. For example, today if we read about Ajamil's story, one chapter, and we saw in that chapter Ajamil getting attracted to a prostitute in the forest and how he lost his Brahminical culture. So when we chant today, our main prayer is, my dear Lord, Ajamil went into the forest and he saw only once and his heart got contaminated. And I don't have to go to the forest because we have cut all the forests and we have made buildings. So I am in the forest of this material world. And he saw it once, but I see it many times. You can, while driving many times, you can see the advertisement is that of salt on the, let's say, bulletin board. You're driving in the car, the advertisement may be of salt or sugar or maybe bathroom tiles, something like that. But to advertise that, there may be a picture of a Mataji next to that. She's holding a salt packet or a sugar packet. So while driving also, people may see, instead of seeing the salt packet, they may see who's advertising it. So we can pray to Krishna while chanting, my dear Lord, I am driving and seeing bulletin boards, or sometimes on our phone, or sometimes in a magazine, or sometimes in the front cover of a newspaper. I am so degraded. Ajamil saw once, but I'm seeing so many times. So how many times my heart may get contaminated? So while we chant, we pray, my dear Lord, may I not get distracted by any allurements in this world. My dear Lord, just like Ajamil chanted once, Mriyamano Harer Nama Granan Putropacharita Ajamilopyakat Dhama Kimuta Shraddhaya Granan. He chanted once and he attained supreme benefit. Krishna, thank you for giving me an opportunity to chant repeatedly your glories. So in this way, we have to chant what we read. Right? We have to chant what we read. What we are reading, we pray, may those principles come in our heart when we chant that day. That's the first point. So we have to ruminate like a cow. Ruminate like a cow. The cow eats grass and then brings it out from its stomach into its mouth and chews it. So we read for 20 minutes, but then throughout the day we ruminate and we pray that may those principles come in our heart. This is point number one. Point number two, we should try to live in the association of devotees as much as possible. Weekend programs, even sometimes midweek programs, observing sincerity of other devotees, serving with other devotees. So when we see others with tilak, we see others with kantimala, we see other devotees sincerely practicing, then it inspires us. Okay, yes, I want to be like this. Then the reading becomes experiential. And then in circumstances in life, because of our daily prayers while chanting, Krishna will help us. Krishna will give us intelligence. Is that okay? If we only read, it will remain theoretical. So you have to read, you have to chant and pray what we are reading, and we have to observe good examples of devotees. And then keep practicing. Many times we will fail in life, No problem. We will fail 999 times. Guaranteed we will all fail because we are coming over so many lifetimes. Koi baat nahi. At least we are trying. The 1000th time we will feel, no problem. Now I will tolerate. Now I will forgive. Now I will let go. It doesn't happen in one day. It takes time. So therefore we must have also some patience with ourselves. Okay? We'll take the next question. Aradhya Nitai Ram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Am I audible?
Perfect. Loud and clear.
Pranam Prabhuji. Thank you so much for giving such a nice class, Prabhuji. I'll quickly get to the point. Sorry for Prabhuji. What happens with me is that when it happens with all the books, but especially when I read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and even though I have taken very nice nap before that, I don't know why it happens, but after one or two paragraph, my concentration, it deviates and I sleep and then I again sleep. I wake myself up and then I sleep again. I don't know, it happens like I've read 2 lines and then I sleep again. I just don't know why this happens, and it has been happening for a long time. As far as I could remember, it has been happening for a long time. I'm so sorry, but I just wanted your guidance for that.
This is quite a natural, common phenomenon. We never fall asleep while watching a movie. We never fall asleep while eating in a restaurant. We never fall asleep while gossiping and talking with friends. But we fall asleep while chanting japa. We fall asleep while chanting Gayatri. We fall asleep while hearing Harikatha. We fall asleep while studying Shastra. So it boils down to lack of taste for Krishna. Also, it could be a practical reason. Try to exercise. Try to exercise sincerely, because that when you exercise, then it gives you sound sleep at night. That's very important. When we don't exercise, we are not tired enough. Then when we sleep also, and also we sleep late after looking at the screen, this is the worst of everything. Sleeping late with screen activity, without exercising, after eating a meal after sunset. So this is the worst. Eating late, sleeping late, lot of screen activity, no exercise. We are destroying our life with this. So when we exercise nicely and we have sound sleep at night and we sleep early and sleep well, then you will see an improvement. So that's on a physical plane, apart from having lack of taste for Krishna. So how do we do this? Apart from fixing the sleep, whenever we feel asleep while reading, drink water. Drinking water helps. If you sip water, it always helps. Sometimes the brain does switch off to sleep because of dehydration, but when you sip water, if you're sitting in class or you're studying or you're chanting, and if you feel asleep, keep your bottle with you. Keep sipping water. Try to stand and read. That's another thing that may help. Many devotees, great devotees, at least 3 or 4 of them I know who have done that in their brahmachari days. They were in the ashram feeling very tired with services, so they would study Srila Prabhupada's books standing and reading. And keep it in short bits. Tell yourself, I will read for 10 minutes. Take a break. Come back, read for another 10-15 minutes. And you're done with 25 minutes. Wonderful. Very nice. And bit by bit, make advancement. Don't beat yourself down. If you're feeling asleep at the end of 5 minutes, take a break. Walk around, drink water, come back. Try another 5-10 minutes. So we are doing 25 minutes in splits. Then comes a point where little by little our willpower, our stamina increases. I know devotees who sit and read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for 2 hours every day. They are very senior brahmacharis, I know, and they do that in the afternoon. Typically in the brahmachari ashram, in the temple, in the afternoon, there's not much activity. So instead of going off to sleep, I know one brahmachari, 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. When the temple is closed, altar is closed, he sits and studies Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for 2 hours in his room. So in this way, we may not be able to imitate that, but we can seek inspiration, and little by little we make advancement. Okay, I hope that helps.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, wonderful. I just had one realization that 2 years ago I used to read Bhagavatam and I completed Canto 1, okay, every day first look. But when I jumped to the second canto, the chapters are different. The stories, it didn't match to me or something like that. I started losing interest in it. And actually, I stopped reading it. And eventually, I started hearing lectures that are going by temple Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So that's where I stopped reading about it. Now, listening to your lecture, I got to know that, okay, I can take a context, like I want to read through Maharaj's lecture story, so I can pick that book. So is it okay to read without purport? Because sometimes we read slow translation, everything. So it takes time. But listening at your lecture, I feel, okay, we can go up and directly read translation, and that is fine. Because I was thinking, oh, I have to read again the Bhagavatam, so I have to jump with the first canto. So is it okay to choose any of the canto and read it either purport or translation if I want to? So is it okay? Like there is no such rule that by again I have to go back canto 1 to canto 10, 12, and which one parts are.
No, good question, and quite an honest confession on the second canto. I remember when I read the second canto for the first time, I also felt lost, especially after first canto story, Krishna's presence and Kunti Devi's prayers, Bhishma's prayers, Uttara's prayers, Krishna, Dwaraka, beautiful sections. Chapter 10, chapter 11, beautiful sections. Krishna's leaving, Krishna's entering, first canto. I personally also had that experience. But to answer your question, as I mentioned, there are two ways one can pick a section that one likes, or one can go systematically and read. My recommendation would be, since you're asking me, my personal recommendation would be, go from the first canto to the 12th canto just with the translations. And even if we are not able to understand, do it as a duty. And those devotees who may not be aware, there, as I previously mentioned, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu has a Subodhini study guide for the Bhagavatam that shows nice maps, flowcharts, connections between verses. So you can keep a Subodhini with you. You can get it on Amazon, I believe. I don't know. Please don't quote me on that. I don't know where it's available. I believe it's on Amazon India. You can get it, or in the temples also. They are study guides on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. They're called Bhagavat Subodhini. So that gives you, even if you're reading the second canto, it will tell you what this chapter overview is, what the connection of the verses are, and a flow chart, a map on this section to this verse to this verse has this context. This verse to this verse has this context. So if you keep that and keep your Bhagavatam and read just the translations in your first reading, that's fine. You can come back to the purports in your second reading. In the second reading, come to the verses and the purport. In the third reading, you can do sectional study and even cross-sectional compare contrast with, of course, all of this doing through the memorization of verses in the 4 category I mentioned, with call for action, preaching, practical, etc., etc. So is it okay to read without the purports? Yeah, maybe in the first reading, because if just reading the purports is overwhelming you and not letting you go ahead, just go through the translations first so we understand what's happening in the Bhagavatam. Okay? So that, and do chapter a day for the Bhagavatam, so that you have a specific measured quantity to reach every day. I have to do 1 chapter a day, like that, only with the translation. So it'll be quick, 15-20 minutes, not more than that. So keep yourself inspired, and this is for all of us. We should keep ourselves inspired and walk on this path. Kirti Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yes.
Please accept my humble obeisances. I am actually very happy sitting in your class, and I wanted to thank you for restarting this lecture of 7th Canto series. So, the inquiry that I have regarding today's lecture is that you said that there are 335 chapters and 335 days we can complete it. And for the first year, we can read the Sanskrit verses and translations.
You can
So,
just read the
in
translation. You can even skip the Sanskrit in the first reading because Sanskrit and translation may take some time. So, first reading, we can just do the translation. Second reading, we can come back. And whichever translation you liked, there you can mark, oh, this verse I want to come back to. So, in the second reading, we can go through the verse and the translation. Yeah, sorry, Mataji, for interrupting. Please continue.
and I just wanted to place my case at your lotus feet. I'm hearing the seventh canto series of yours, the past lectures, and I'm in the second chapter right now, and I'm trying to make notes on it. It's not one verse a day. It takes me so much. It takes at least 1 week to complete one verse for me. And apart from that, I'm also trying to read the sixth canto because it is for self-interest. So should I continue this or should I change the route and start from first canto? What should I do, please?
Do what you're
Guide.
doing with respect to the sixth canto, that should be fine. With the seventh canto, I feel going one verse for a week may be too slow because after a point we may feel, see, our mind at the end of the day wants to know how much we have achieved. Somehow it doesn't see quality over quantity. It sees quantity. Okay, how many days am I reading? How much have I reached? Then the mind starts thinking there are so many chapters. When will I finish all this? So instead, my recommendation would be move chapter a day. First reading, move chapter a day. Because when you go chapter a day, you feel inspired. And if you want to do seventh canto and sixth canto together, that's fine too. No problem. No problem. If you want to do 15-20 minutes of one chapter of the seventh canto, 15-20 minutes, one chapter of the sixth canto, that should be fine. So you're reading two cantos at the same time, that should be fine. But typically I recommend one canto because somebody who hasn't started one canto, one chapter a day is good. But if you're already reading two, then you can continue, no problem. But don't add to a third canto now. A third. Just keep these two. Keep seventh and sixth going at the rate of one chapter a day. 10-15 minutes each chapter.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. Next, we can take a question from Shaili Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji,
Dandavat
thank you
Pranam.
for the sessions. Prabhuji, I want to really thank you. I can't even express my gratitude to you. I'm so much blessed to have been able to listen to your sessions from past 1 year. During my pregnancy, I was hearing your Maharajji. I was asked by my facilitator to listen to his sessions, and I don't know how I landed up to you. And I was just hoping someday to hear you, I mean, face to face, but it's okay. Right now, I'm able to listen to you on Zoom. So, Prabhuji, my question here was actually I'm having a baby of 5 months now, so I am not able to have my routine properly planned because there is no sleep time, no like chanting is disturbed sometimes, reading. So I was instructed by my counselor to do more and more hearing. So I was doing that, and after listening to your past 2 3 sessions about hearing, felt more gratitude that yes, listening is much more important than to get the things done inside our hearts. So, now I want to read. I do want to read Bhagavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but I am unable to have proper time management for that. So, could you please guide me how to do that with a baby or with a grahastha in a grahastha life with not much support for that reason? So that Prabhuji, Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
if in your circumstance hearing is more practical, then you can do so. No problem. Hear about Krishna And whenever you have time, whenever your child grows up, or let's say your child is sleeping, your husband is taking care of your child, or let's say your parents or your in-laws are taking care of your child, whenever that situation comes later in your life, you can always read at that time. If you can take 5-10 minutes to read, that will still help every day. But if you think that's also not possible, then as you're cooking, as you're taking care of your child, keep the hearing on. You can put a speaker on, or you can put it on your phone, and you can keep hearing, no problem. Because when there are babies are smaller and younger, then rules have to be changed according to the situation. Okay, we can take next question from Niharika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, I have Hindi hard copy and I am not good in either Hindi or English completely. So I keep Hindi hard copy and English translation on a separate device than my regular device like mobile phone. Just for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That device is just for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But as you shared that hard copy is better, so should I purchase English hard copy too, along with Hindi translation?
If you can make sure that in that device that you're using for English translation, your mind will not get distracted to browsing other things. If you can make sure of that discipline, that you won't browse to other topics on that device, then you don't have to purchase. But if you feel हो सकता है पढ़ते पढ़ते मन कहीं और चला जाए, and we may start browsing on that device, then better to have one English copy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also. It won't hurt. It will only do good to us. Okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. We can take next question from Riya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in some special occasions, it is advised to read some sections of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And today also you said that if we want, then we can read some sections. But it is also advised to read the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in systematical way. So please give light on this, Prabhuji.
Sure. Yeah, Mataji, definitely, let's say Ram Navami is coming up, right? So there are 2 chapters in the Bhagavatam completely on Ramachandra. Chapter 10 and chapter 11 of the 9th canto. So one day before Ram Navami and on the day of Ram Navami, those 2 chapters can be read. So instead of doing your usual, let's say if I'm reading 4th canto, Chad, every day, now I can take a break on those 2 days, of one day before Ram Navami and on the day of Ram Navami, and instead I can read those 2 chapters of the 9th canto. Right? Let's say Narsingha Chaturdashi is coming up in May, and I want to read about Nrsingadev. So you can pause the chat that you're doing, and 2-3 days before Narsingha Chaturdashi, you can read Canto 7, Chapter 6, Chapter 7, Chapter 8, Chapter 9. So 4 days you can do Chad on those 4 chapters of the 7th canto, which brings in us appreciation for Nrsingadev. And then once Narsingha Chaturdashi is over, resume back to what you're reading. And keep a note that you have read Chad of those chapters of those cantos. So now when you come to the 7th canto, once you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you can do 10 again, because you have done 6, 7, 8, 9 for Narsingha Chaturdashi. So in this way, depending on the occasion, you can try to read that section from the Bhagavatam. No problem. Okay? Next question we can take from Pooja Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my question is that what one should put while reading Prabhupada's book. Like I read Prabhupada's book for 10 minutes, but I make some note also. But what one should put in mind? Just like I do that, I read for 10 minutes and I can finish it. But I didn't think anything that what what it is here in this, what can I apply in this my life. And one senior devotee has said that we should read, we should like their Prabhupada book. So, Prabhuji, can you explain me that how can I apply it my life?
Yes, Mataji. While reading, we have to be attentive. Not simply getting one chapter done. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to be attentive there. पढ़ते समय क्या पढ़ रहे हैं, क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं, उसमें अर्थ क्या है. Whatever we are reading, what is the take home? We have to be, since we are reading only for 15-20 minutes a day, those 15-20 minutes we have to focus completely. You can, as I mentioned, keep a pencil with you and keep following through attentively. What am I reading? Iska arth kya hai? What does this mean? And it's very simple. It's in English, so it's self-explanatory. So as we are reading, more focus, without talking to anyone, not keeping our phone with us, complete focus and being attentive, and Krishna will reveal in the heart. Then next question we can take from the eternal soul.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, so few months ago, I prepared my mind to study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And one devotee told me that I cannot study until I am qualified. He told me that you study all the books of Srila Prabhupada. He gave me a chart where it was written that category 1, category 2, and category 3. After studying all this, then you can study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, Prabhuji, my question is that, is there such criteria? And can't I study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also, Srila Prabhupada books simultaneously?
Yeah, you can. No problem. You can simultaneously study. No problem. But we have to make sure we study those small books as well. So either now or then later in life, someday. So if one wants to do them simultaneously, that's fine. If you want to directly study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that's fine too. If you want to read the small books first and then come to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that's fine too. Srila Prabhupada would say, my books are like rasgullas, you can taste them from anywhere. So, no problem. Rekha Mataji?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, my question is that, Prabhu, I read Bhagavatam not daily but weekly, Prabhu. But I want to apply in my life, but I am not able to apply what I am reading. Please tell me how to apply in my life, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji, as I mentioned, this comes with two parts. One, whatever we are reading, we should, that day while chanting Hare Krishna, we should pray to Krishna that, my dear Lord, may I be able to apply these principles when life is testing me. May I be able to apply. We should pray. Just by reading letters on a notebook, we won't cross Maya. We read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam so that we know how our response in life should be and how we should be. First is reading. Second, whatever we are reading, we should pray to Krishna. May these principles come in my life. And third, we should associate with senior devotees who have those qualities. So we see how they behave, how one should behave, how one should not behave. These things we learn by prayers and by experience. And most importantly, have patience, because it will take a long time for us to change character. It's not that today we read Ajamil, tomorrow we are pure chanters of the holy name. It doesn't happen like that. So it will take some time. So 3 points. Study and pray while you chant. Second, serve and observe the experienced devotees. And third, have patience and compassion with yourself. Okay. We'll take the next question. Manisha Mataji. Manisha Mataji, you can kindly unmute. Okay. Vivek Prabhu, you can kindly unmute. We can't hear you.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's a lot of background noise.
Sorry, bro. I'm in metro currently.
Would you be able to keep your mic closer to the mouth?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Now can you
Now
hear
it's
me?
clear. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is like, I'm working in Dubai right now. I'm living in Dubai. So,
Damodar Desh.
uh, so now in metro. Sorry, Prabhu, for the disturbance. So, like living bachelor life, like in working times, like it's too long, 12 hours. Then waking up morning, it's not able to, like not getting time to chanting, not getting time, like there's so much there, like works and all stuff. Like I have to cook, I would like everything will depend on me. Like working hours is so long. So independent, like in the time, how to manage like all this and even I not like I don't like to sleep late, but there's no way like how to do all cooking and all I eat. Then after reading some like even one page of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, like in reading time also, like it's very headache to manage on all this. How can you like manage all this?
How old are you, Prabhu?
Prabhu 22.
22. Okay. So, and what type of work do you do?
I mean corporate.
Corporate. So, while being at work, would you be able to read for some time?
Reading I can't. I can hear. I'll get
You
some
can
time to
hear.
hear.
Okay, you can
Yeah.
hear.
Yes.
So here is my suggestion, Prabhu. There are Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam audiobooks. That's a suggestion in case if it helps for other devotees also. There are Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam audiobooks where the whole Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I believe only the translation, I'm not sure if the purport also, but has been read out by devotees. So if you get chance, you can even hear chapter a day at work. Instead of reading, you can have an audiobook hearing, and that gives you the same benefit. And when you turn 26 or 27, get married. So you'll have someone to help you, somebody to balance life out with, someone you can practice bhakti with. Then you can do some part of life and she can do some part of life, and both of you can sit and read and share responsibilities. So that's also an important part of life. Okay. Next question, Agrani Mataji and Arpita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you talked about sharing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also. So about sharing the nectar of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we can share it with someone who is unaware of such beauty of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But also you said in one of the lectures that if a serpent touches the Bhagavatam with the lips, the milk of Bhagavatam turns it into poison. So means I also feel sometimes that the way I have listened to that specific story, I haven't translated or given my own opinion to someone in the same manner. So sharing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam becomes quite difficult in that manner. So what should we do?
When I mentioned about Vaishnava Mukhodgirnam Putam Harikathamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochishta Yatapaya, that milk tasted by a serpent becomes poisonous, that is specifically for people who are spreading or speaking Shastra with the desire of material remuneration. For example, if I say, I will do these Zoom sessions at 10,000 rupees an hour, let's say. So then what I am speaking is not worth hearing, because I am trying to speak Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to get money out of the listeners. But when you share or we want to share Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we are not doing it for money. We can call up a friend, you can call up your sister, your brother, somebody who may be interested, and they can share what they read, you can share what you read. So for example, 15 minutes a day you read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 15-20 minutes, and another 10 minutes you call up a friend and you say what you read. So in 30 minutes, you're doing your reading also and you're doing your sharing also. And over time, you'll see your stock will keep increasing. Because every day, if you keep reading and studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, next time when you share something with someone, what you have read today will come out, what you have read yesterday will come out, what you have read day before yesterday will come out. So all of that will come by Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam's blessings. So the sharing will keep increasing as the reading keep increasing. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Ripunjay Prabhu. You can kindly, Ripunjay Rishabha Prabhu, you can kindly unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This is my humble obeisances unto you.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhu, I would just want to ask, as I'm doing Bhakti Vaibhava, so there we have to learn some specific shlokas from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Yeah.
So I try to learn it's very hard for me to memorize the shlokas.
So is your question how to memorize those shlokas from Bhakti Vaibhav? We can't hear you, Prabhu. Are you on the call? Okay, not sure what happened. But if that's the question, then the best thing to do is to ask the teacher that we are learning Bhakti Vaibhav from, that Prabhu or Mataji, would you be able to send your voice recording of these verses? We would like to hear and then memorize. We can memorize shlokas by hearing them from someone who's chanting it properly. So the Bhakti Vaibhav teacher will perhaps be the best person to ask. Suprita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. My question is, like you said, while reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we should make points of important shlokas. So I'm the beginner, so I just want a guidance, like how can I know that which is the important shlokas?
Whichever translation hits your heart nicely, happily, gives you joy, that verse you can mark. For example, if you read a translation, all glories to Krishna, who is the son of Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to Krishna, who is who runs behind cows and takes care of cows. All glories to Krishna, who appeared to Devaki and Vasudeva. Something like that. Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namah. So you can keep that as a note. If you read a verse that Dhruva Maharaj, he performed meditation and chanted the holy name, and therefore he attracted Krishna's attention, let's say. So now you can put a mark there that if I also do this and chant my japa like how Dhruva chanted his japa, then I may also be able to attract Krishna's attention. But if there are verses which talk about description of an atom or description of this world, creation, one king after another, names are given, those things you can just read and let it pass. Doesn't have to be, those verses don't have to be memorized. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Krishna Sinchana, Mataji or Prabhuji, I'm not sure. Prabhu, maybe? You can kindly unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji. Okay. Yes, Krishna Mataji.
Actually, I'm
Okay.
really fortunate to interact with you to get clarity for my doubts from you. Prabhuji, my question is, when my family members play material songs or criticize my interest in Ramayana or Mahabharata, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, I feel emotionally disturbed. How can I maintain my devotion and inner peace without trying to control them? And also, how can I inspire my family members to gradually develop interest in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, it's a tough thing, Mataji, and we are totally there with you. It can be very tough trying to practice bhakti in a household where the members don't appreciate or they don't value bhakti. But I would say do not worry about giving Krishna consciousness to them, and do not worry about what they say. A devotee should not be hard-hearted, but a devotee should have thick skin. A devotee should not be hard-hearted, but a devotee should have thick skin. पतली चमड़ी नहीं होनी चाहिए. One should not have a thin skin कि कोई कुछ कह दे और फिर हम बैठे रोएं ना. क्यों रोएं? भला हम क्यों रोएं? हम अच्छी काम करना चाह रहे हैं ना, भागवत पढ़ना चाह रहे हैं, नाम जप करना चाह रहे हैं, तो हम क्यों रोएं? If somebody is smoking and drinking, they don't have a problem with that. Somebody is making money and watching movies, they don't have a problem with that. Somebody is walking with boyfriend and girlfriend, they don't have a problem with that. And we sit and chant Hare Krishna and we read Bhagavatam and they have a problem with that. Why should I take it personally? So we should be soft-hearted but thick-skinned. इतनी मोटी चमड़ी हो जाए कि कोई कुछ भी कहे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. The example that is given is when you see a leaf falls into a river. The leaf gets splashed all over by the waves, right? And a leaf falls into a river from a tree and it wants to go this way, but the wave is slapping from this side, so the leaf starts going this way. But on the other hand, you can see the rock in the river. It's there in the water. Water is gushing, waves are coming all over the place. The rock remains rock solid right there. And it is that rock which is polished, which shines, which looks beautiful. So our heart should be like a leaf, soft. Santa Hridaya Navanita Samana. Hriday Navanit ho. It should be very soft. But in our determination in bhakti, one should be rock solid. One should be rock solid. There is a nice verse in the Bhagavatam. Let me see if we can... Or maybe another time. That may take some time explaining that verse. But the point is, Bhagavatam says one should be Dridhavrata. One should be quite fixed up in our practice. So even if others are saying something, don't worry about converting them to Krishna consciousness. Don't mind, don't retaliate, don't cry, don't get angry, don't think bad about them. In your heart, pray for them. In your heart. Don't tell them कि आपको भक्ति में इतनी रुचि नहीं है ना, तो हम जैसे भक्त जब आपके लिए प्रार्थना करेंगे तो आपका उद्धार होगा. That is not needed. So, don't cry. Smile that Krishna has put you in a situation where you are chanting and having taste for studying Ramayana and Mahabharata. So be happy. Happily study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, chant, and if others are having a problem, do it when they don't see you. Wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and read Bhagavatam. 100% everybody will be sleeping at that time. And when they wake up, you're not studying Bhagavatam, so they will not have any problem. Don't worry, pray for them, don't cry, don't hold it against them, continue to do what you're doing and don't change your path. Don't be hard-hearted, but be thick-skinned.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Actually, it was my dream to join the Zoom classes of yours, and I was listening to your lectures in YouTube. And when I went to ISKCON Bangalore, one Prabhuji said that if you are listening to Amarendra Prabhuji's lectures, then you're already at the lotus feet of Krishna. And I got really very happy when I listened to your lectures. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I couldn't control my tears. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Next, we can take a question from Sanjana Mataji. Sanjana Mataji, you can kindly unmute. Okay. Priyanka Mataji, you can go in next.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Prabhuji, I wonder what would be the meter of, you earlier quoted that there would be meter, OV meter, and meter for slokas. So how to recite that? What
Hello,
slokas
Hare Krishna
have
Prabhuji.
this meter?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
I don't know where the sound is coming from. It's like an aerial sound that Kamsa was hearing. So anyway, we will first take Priyanka Mataji's question and then we will continue with the Hare Krishna. Yes, Priyanka Mataji.
So every sloka has a meter. Prabhuji have explained that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Just a minute, Mataji. Just a minute.
Sure.
Priyanka Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So earlier you mentioned about every sloka having a meter. So how would I understand which sloka has which meter and how to recite it properly?
Yeah, typically there are three types of melodies in which you'll find verses in the Bhagavatam. You have the shorter one, which goes like Bhagavad Gita, which you can sing it as Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Uparitam Ashnami Prayatatmana. That's like the shorter one. If you find verses little longer, then you can go as Tarararara 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 Agre Kuruna Matha Pandavanam Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. If you find little longer, then you can go like Brahma Samhita. Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Typically, within the domain of these three, more than 90% of the verses of the Bhagavatam can be sung. So you don't have to worry. Short, long, longer.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Sanjana Mataji, we can take your Hare Krishna
Yes,
now.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question that I
You
am
were
a
calling
student.
out, you were calling out to Krishna with all your heart.
Yes,
Yes.
I have a question that I'm a student in the college right now, and I have a schizophrenia disease in my brain. And how could I स्पिरिचुअलिटी के थ्रू हम कैसे इसे सही कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि अभी मैं कॉलेज में हूँ और इसे ठीक करना मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा। डॉक्टर से दवाइयाँ चलती हैं और इसे क्या स्पिरिचुअलिटी से ठीक किया जा सकता है?
इस पर मेरा राय तो ये है कि आध्यात्मिक मार्ग के अतिरिक्त इसको शारीरिक उपचार की आवश्यकता है। कोई भी
नहीं,
अगर
शारीरिक चलता है, बट इसे स्पिरिचुअलिटी से क्या?
इसके साथ यदि प्रभु के लिए, प्रभु के चरणों में प्रार्थना और नाम जप को भी सम्मिलित किया जाए तो उत्तम है ही। परंतु जिस प्रकार केवल नाम जप करने से मुंह स्वच्छ नहीं होता, चित्त स्वच्छ हो जाता है। सुबह उठकर मुंह धोना पड़ता है, दंत मार्जन करना पड़ता है, दांत धोना पड़ता है। हम यदि ये सोचे कि केवल नाम जप करूँगा तो मुंह से बड़ा सुंदर सुगंध निकलेगा, तो ये तो संभव नहीं। तो आध्यात्मिक उपचार होते हैं, उसके साथ साथ शारीरिक मानसिक उपचार भी होते हैं। तो मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि just like a devotee may be very advanced, but still gravity works on him and keeps him on the ground. Just like he may be chanting very purely, but still he has to brush his teeth. Similarly, the rules of physics, the rules of medicine work on the body. Spiritual mantras work on the soul, on the consciousness. They purify the mind, but whatever prarabdha is there, taking medical help, taking practical help is always fruitful. And with that, you can add spiritual practice. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. We can take next question from, the number of hands are increasing with the time that we have. So let's take it quick. Chitra Mataji and then Dayal Narahari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam daily, and my son is also inspired to read, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. But as you said earlier, that you have to be very thick-skinned. So my son likes to chant, read scriptures, but often my husband discourages him. So how should I preach him so that he continues his practice?
So there was some background noise, Mataji. So let me repeat the question. You can correct me if I heard you right. You have a son whom you want to inspire to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam while your husband discourages him from reading?
Yes, he likes to read chant. He's reading Srila Prabhupada, Leelamrita and all those stuff. But yeah, often he discourages him that what are you learning? This won't help. But he's really interested in all this. So how should I, preach him so that he continues his practice and he doesn't get discouraged?
I think in proper quantity should be fine. If your husband sees that your son is also studying material things, practical things, which will help him in real life, etiquette, manners, education, language, sports, health, then I think he will be happy, because he wants ultimately the son to learn things that will help him in his life. Maybe your husband is not convinced enough of how these things will help your child. So you can always tell him that I'm not teaching him all this to make him a pandit in a temple or a pujari just chanting some shlokas. I am teaching real life lessons from these stories. So we call it as modern ethics from ancient epics. Learning modern principles from ancient pastimes. So I think balance it. Give him knowledge of both worlds, and even while teaching Shastra, do teach him some practical things also from it. Okay? So there are newer hands coming up. I want to say I wouldn't be able to take them in the interest of time. We have those whose hands have been up for some time. I'll just be able to take those questions. The other questions we can roll it over kindly for the next session. Yes, Dayal Narahari Prabhu.
Krishna, Dandabat Pranam. Dear Prabhuji, please accept my respectful humble obeisances. हम लोग इधर मथुरा देश से, तो हम हमारी जो शिक्षा गुरु मेंटर से बात करके इधर थोड़ा जो हम लोग जीसीसी में जो क्लास होता है प्रोग्राम में, तो इसमें कमती शॉर्ट टाइम मिलता है, 30 मिनट्स 40 मिनट्स टोटल 2 आवर्स ऑल कंप्लीट प्रोग्राम फिनिश होता है। इसमें टाइम उतना होता नहीं, तो इसमें कोई रीडिंग्स कोई क्वेश्चन का होता नहीं, एक श्लोक पढ़ता है, थोड़ा तात्पर्य फिनिश। तो अभी मेरा जो शिक्षक गुरु है, मैं बात करके जो ओमान के लिए जीसीसी दुबई कतार ओमान सऊदी अरबिया जो लोकल डिब्यूटी है, तो एक ग्रुप बना के हम श्रील प्रभुपाद बुक्स रीडिंग करता है 10:30 to 11:30 30 मिनट्स, ओनली 30 मिनट्स। प्रभु 30 मिनट्स इज गुड फॉर इधर ज्यादा आदमी हार्ड वर्क, इतना समय है होता नहीं है, 10 मिनट भी होता नहीं, फिर हम लोग सबको बुला के आओ प्रभुपाद बुक्स पढ़ो। प्रभुपाद इतना रात जागरण करके बुक्स लेकर हम लोग प्रभुपाद बुक्स पढ़ना चाहिए, हमारी गति होगा। प्रभुपाद ये चाहता है, ये पढ़ना है मतलब प्रभुपाद को खुश करना। तो आप लोग आइए, तो ऐसा सबको इंकरेज करके हम लोग रीड पढ़ता है। तो प्रभु 30 मिनट्स इज गुड फॉर, आप थोड़ा कृपया इसके बारे में कुछ 30 मिनट्स इज गुड।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। आर यू अंडर व्रजप्राण प्रभु?
यस प्रभु, यस
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। मुझे याद है जब मैं वहां आया था मथुरा देश कथा के लिए,
इधर आप आया था, मैं उसी टाइम सुना नहीं है, अर्जन आया था शायद, इसका पहला कुछ सुना नहीं है। और मैं एक टेम्पल में प्रोग्राम में गया था, सुना था आप इधर आ रहे हैं, आ गया शायद दामोदर देश से इधर आया था मथुरा देश में, प्रोग्राम फिनिश करके इधर अर्जन आ गया। मेरा पता नहीं है, सुना, मैं सोचा सलाला 1000 किलोमीटर है, तो मैं एक दिन टाइम मिलेगा तो मैं जाना है, ऐसा प्लान था। लेकिन ऐसा सुना फिनिश करके आप इधर से एग्जिट हो गया ऐसे।
अगले बार मैं अगर मथुरा देश आऊंगा तो आपसे अवश्य
जरूर
मिलना चाहूंगा।
हरी बोल जय प्रभु।
आप आकर मिलिएगा, हम लोग बैठ के फिर भागवत के विषय में।
प्रभु आप जो टाइम आएगा समाचार सुनेगा तो तुरंत आपको सेवा के लिए हम रेडी है।
समाचार सुनते सुनते दौड़कर यूएस मत आ जाना फिर, क्योंकि मैं वहां आऊंगा तो
आपका चरण दर्शन में अगर दुनिया का कोई भी प्रांत है तो शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल प्रभु, जिधर रहूं शुद्ध भक्त का चरण आश्रय रहना चाहिए। हम ये जानता है, ज्यादा मेरा इस बारे में क्वालिटी है नहीं है जो मैं इतना जानता
आप
है। जो
अच्छा सेवा कर रहे हैं, ब्रजप्राण प्रभु बहुत अच्छे भक्त हैं, आप उनके साथ सेवा कीजिए। और 30 मिनट आप जो भागवत पढ़ रहे हैं रोज,
एक प्रभु बजबान प्रभु के साथ कभी हमारा बात हुआ नहीं, क्योंकि हमारे जो लोकल अथॉरिटी होता है वो लोग कुछ सीरियस सेक्शन में वो लोग बात करते हैं, हम लोग लोकल। लेकिन हमारा सोच सबको मंगल ही, तो प्रभुपाद बुक्स पढ़े,
बहुत सुंदर। आपका प्रश्न यही है ना कि 30 मिनट आप पढ़ रहे हैं, ये हाँ, तो ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, आप जारी रखिएगा। और जैसे हम
एवरी 30 मिनट्स ये
हाँ,
सबको
आप
साथ, हमारे जो अलग स्टडी है वो अलग करता है, लेकिन ये 30 मिनट सबको साथ बुला के इसमें शामिल अभी पुर्तगाल से भी ही, रशिया से भी 2 डिबोटी है, लोकल डिबोटी बंगाली लैंग्वेज का, अभी इसके साथ और हिंदी लैंग्वेज का भी, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज भी चाहता है, लेकिन हमारा टाइम का साथ थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है अलग अलग, लेकिन इंग्लिश में
पर
भी मैं
30 मिनट
एक्सपर्ट
भी
नहीं।
प्रभु जी दिन
आगे
में 30 मिनट भी बहुत अच्छी बात है। आप इसको जारी रखिएगा, नाम जप के साथ 30 मिनट प्रभुपाद का प्रतिदिन ग्रंथ पठन, ये बहुत अच्छी सेवा है। ठीक है, धन्यवाद। कृष्ण सखा प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी
प्रणाम।
मुझे बस एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन था प्रभु जी, आपकी ईमेल आईडी मिल सकती तो?
हाँ, मैंने चैट बॉक्स में डाल दिया है प्रभु जी, आप
ये
वहाँ।
तो उस वक्त मैं यूट्यूब पे सुन रहा था, तो उस वक्त मैं जूम पे नहीं था, चैट नहीं देख पाया।
अच्छा, तो मैं एक और बार लिख देता
थैंक यू वेरी मच प्रभु जी, थैंक यू।
हूँ। ठीक है।
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. We'll pause here. Thank you so much everyone with your series of questions, and thank you for your sincerity. We'll see all of you on Thursday where we start discussing Kirtana. Thank you so much. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Please forgive me, we meet on Tuesday, not Thursday. Today's Thursday. I was somehow under the consideration today's Tuesday. So we'll see you on Tuesday and we'll continue our study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Thank you so much. Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Shyama ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari.